Acts chapter 12. In Selah the other night, I entered into a vein of ministry, it was just, in moments. And I don't feel like that I have moved beyond or stepped out of that in any way. And so I want to go back and reflect here a little bit. Acts chapter 12. I'm going to ask you to do your best to scroll this with me as I read. Okay? Oh, verse 1. Sorry. There you go. Now, about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with a sword. Because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison, delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him. Tough guy, this Peter, I guess. Intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Peter, therefore, was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him. Did the church like Peter more than James? Do you think it was human desire or human compassion that moved the church to pray for Peter? Or do you feel possibly there was an unction from heaven given by God to the church to begin to pray? I want us to compare this as we walk through this. God loved James. God had purpose in James' life. And I would dare say that God had purpose in James' death. God was not on vacation. He didn't miss a cue. He knew what was taking place, and in his will, he allowed for it. James' time was over upon the earth. Not in eternity, but just the short season, the brief season on earth. His time was now past. And so now he waits for the change. Peter, on the other hand, his time is not up. But the authorities have now taken him and imprisoned him with full intent that soon as Easter is past, I'm going to kill him. And God is aware of every detail. Peter, therefore, was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him. And when Herod would have brought him forth the same night, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains. And the keepers before the door kept the prison. And behold, the angel of the Lord came upon him, and a light shined in the prison. And he smote Peter. There was a physical interaction between the angelic and humanity. There was an interaction, an intervention by God, and it took on physical form. Peter had a bruise on his arm. He smote Peter on the side and raised him up, saying, Arise up quickly. And his chains fell off from his hands. The angel said unto him, Gird thyself, and bind on thy sandals. And so he did. And he said unto him, Cast thy garment about thee, and follow me. he went out and followed him, and wist not that it was true which was done by the angel, but thought he saw a vision. He who is participating in what's happening is having a hard time believing that it's happening, and he thinks surely I'm dreaming. 10. When they were past the first and second ward, they came into the iron gate that leadeth unto the city, which opened to them of its own accord. And they went out and passed on through one street, and forthwith the angel departed from him. Miracle after miracle after miracle. We just read one at a time, right? One before the other, one after the other. Miracles. God's intervention and the presence of the angelic host on the behalf of one individual. The king had it set in his mind, I'm going to kill this guy. I already killed the other guy. I'm going to kill him. He's already been arrested. He's up there with Pablo Chan, King County Jail. You ever been in that place? It's not easy getting out of that place. The angel of God led him out of the trouble. The angel of God led him out of the trouble that was trying to take his life. And that trouble was people. It was authorities. As high as the highest rank, the king. When Peter was come to himself, he said, now I know of a surety that the Lord hath sent his angel, and hath delivered me out of the hand of Herod, and from all the expectation of the people of the Jews. And when he had considered the thing, he came to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark, where many were gathered together praying. And as Peter knocked at the door of the gate, a damsel came to hearken named Rhoda. When she knew Peter's voice, she opened not the gate for gladness, but ran in and told how Peter stood out before the gate. They said unto her, you're crazy, lady. But she constantly affirmed that it was even so. Then they said, okay, then it's his angel. Like there was an angel assigned to the man. Many years ago, Brother Chan, I didn't even see that you were back there. Hi. Many years ago, I was in conversation with Elder C.M. Yaden. He was telling me a story at his house, how years ago he'd been up in Seattle. There was a building, that we were renting for a conference. He said, I attended meetings up there years ago. Really, what were they like? He said, well, there was a particular individual that was, they were hosting this guy. He was a speaker, and wherever he went, many people were healed. And so he told me a little bit about this, and I think he may have even followed him one time and went down to Portland. He was first in Seattle, then he was in Portland, then he was going down to probably California somewhere. But he said everywhere this man would go and to minister, and he wouldn't minister very long, but people just got healed. He said he didn't put on a display or a big show or anything about it. And so I said to him, why do you suppose that is? He said, well, my personal impression is that there was an angel that had attached itself to his ministry. That was the first time I'd ever heard anything like that. The first time. It would be not many months later, I was asked to come and attend a meeting where people were going to be, and they prayed and fasted. And we did that for a week, and at the end of that week, there was a season given to various individuals that were in the meeting. I think most of them were saints of the church there in Maryland. And they would share what they had gone to their oversight and told them they saw while they were there praying. One young man, I'll never forget, I can see his face right now, kind of had a crew cut, blonde hair, crew cut. Said he was he was up on the balcony praying, and he had only been in the church for 3 months. He said, but I was up there praying, and when I turned around, he said, there was a railing that went across to keep kids from falling off the balcony. And he said there were angels standing on that railing across there. He said, I didn't know what to do with that, so I just came and told the bishop. And he did. And so we're sitting there listening, and it seems far-fetched to me. It seems far out. And somebody made the comment, if you just give it a moment, you could feel the presence of angels in here right now. And I'm thinking this is the air conditioning. And so I move over a little bit. Yeah, it is the air conditioning. And so I'm not able to identify entirely with what they're talking about. I am unable to discern even in the moment, but one after the other communicated similar things. And the last person to speak was Sister Evans. Sister Evans was an intercessor, and she really didn't like being up front, but the bishop said, I want you to take the mic and tell them what you told me. So she got up and she shared a few things, and it was awkward for her, you could tell. And then she made this statement. She said, the angels that have assembled here have come here, but they're not staying here. They are going to leave and go home with you, those who have come from various places. Well, I had taken a young man with me, and I thought, well, I hope he doesn't get too excited and do something out of, character and get us all in trouble. And so I warned him at the airport. I said, now, we're going home. I heard what you heard. We're going back to Puyallup. We left Puyallup a week ago. Remember what it was? Oh, yeah. So we came, and do you know, we had just bought this building the week before. And we came in here and started service just like we did today. Started singing and worshiping, and in just a few minutes, there were people, one person in particular, illuminated to me that I called on this other brother, and said, and we just approached this person and said, would you mind just stepping out into the aisle? We're just going to pray for you. I don't even think we laid hands on her. I don't remember. But we just began to pray, and when we began to pray, the spirit of prayer came over her. I'm talking about a spirit of prayer. Well, then the Spirit illuminated somebody else, and we went to them, and, hey, would you mind stepping out in the aisle? We're just going to pray for you, And a spirit of prayer came upon them. And then there was a third individual. After that, the place was going nuts. There were those that were bought in, and there were those that were scared to death. What was going on? But a spirit of intercessory prayer had come upon each one of these individuals. Now, some of you won't remember this. When I had left, it was tough to get anybody in the prayer room. We were using a little classroom down there, which is now the nursery. Oh, there was plenty of room. There was nobody in there. Something was broken. Well, within 2 weeks, it was standing room only. Prayer. Deep intercessory prayer. And so I began to muse over the things that were spoken. I thought to myself, well, we're the same guys that left here, that went back here. As far as we knew, there was something else that was visiting, that had returned with us. And so we begin to move forward from that point. Now, we engaged in some prayer and fasting. And the Spirit of God was manifesting himself in a powerful way. And we did a lot of waiting on the Lord. If you were around, you remember. There were times when I would feel to stop speaking. I would be arrested in my spirit, and I'd sit down. People were looking at me like you're kind of looking at me. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, people started getting up and walking out. It wouldn't be long, and something would sweep into this place, and there would be an eruption in prayer of those that were left. It was amazing, but we didn't understand it. We couldn't explain it. But we were thankful for it. The life that had come spiritually in among us. Now, it was probably a year after that. One of the gentlemen that was involved in the original meetings that I was a part of came and ministered in a meeting that we hosted here. And before he was to leave town, there was another gentleman flying in, a friend that we had met. He's now a missionary in England, Liverpool. And he came with his son. But anyway, we ended up picking them up at the airport, and we all went to downtown into the Seattle Underground. I'd never been on the tour. And they said, what are we going to do? And I said, well, there's this tour. They go underground, I guess, and there's something there. And we're going there. Okay. So we drive there. And we go into this situation. And somewhere along the way, we begin to feel some things. And in one particular cavity in the ground, under the sidewalk, I can show you where it's at. I begin to feel something so intense. And I felt to say, this is the seat of dominion. But the man that, and I'm starting to rebuke the devil. I rebuke you, devil, what am I supposed to do? That's what I was feeling. And the man stops me. Hold on, wait. There's another angel here. He is going to leave here and go with you, and he's going to attach itself to your ministry. We made it up outside. We left the tour. We were done. We got in the van. We drove up to the Pike Street area, and there's a parking lot across the street. We pulled in. By the time we got there, literally the van was filled with the presence of angels. It was overwhelming. I slumped over the wheel when the van stopped. And the missionary in the back starts prophesying what's happening, right? So, there's a reason why I'm telling you all this. I remember some changes. I remember some things over the next week. And then we went on through life. Now, that was 20 years ago. There was an utterance that came to me over these last 2 weeks that I didn't speak out until Wednesday night in Selah. Because I was trying to come to grips with, why should I say that? You know, what would be the benefit of saying that? I never did resolve that, but I decided I'm going to speak it out, and did. And this is all, it's not a big deal. I'm going to share it with you. It's not, you know, the heavens may not come down. I'm not sure. They kind of did the other night. But this is all I said. My angel apparently has been hanging out in Union Gap. What I realized or acknowledged was, I've been showing up there. That's all I'm doing, is showing up. And the ministry that would take place, I know that's more than me. What's taking place there, I know. And so for whatever reason, I feel like the Lord was showing me. Number one, He said He would send them before us. Didn't He? Now, the focus point of all this is not the fact that there's been angelic involvement with my ministry, okay? Or with my life. Let's go back to Acts 12. The authorities begin to take position against the church. And only in the will of God could they take the life of James. But because God had purpose and future for the life of Peter, there was an angelic intervention that would loose chains, take him out of arrest, take him from a prison, liberate him from captivity, spare him. I don't know what's ahead. I know things are about to change. They've changed already. We don't know what's ahead, but we can't live our lives in such a way that we fear the hand of man. We know what it says in the end of the book. We know the things that will come against the church, but we also know the end of the story. There will be martyrs for Christ, as James, to our gain. Absent from the body to be present with the Lord. Okay? In His time, His way is right. His way is perfect. He knows what He's doing. And we will see an uptick, I'm telling you, in the angelic manifestation and the host of God as we come near to harvest. Interventions. Not 20 years apart. Maybe 20 days apart. Maybe 20 minutes apart. It's where we are. It's who we are. And this is where our confidence should lie. Let's worship.